The Congress leader Shashi Tharoor has been charged with abetting suicide in the death of his wife Sunanda Pushkar in 2014. Mr. Tharoor has also been accused of cruelty in his marriage by a police charge sheet submitted in a court in Delhi today. All right, well, there's a response which has come in the last little while from Shashi Tharoor. I have taken note of the filing of this preposterous charge sheet and intend to contest it vigorously. No one who knew Sunanda believes she would ever have committed suicide, let alone abetment on my part. If this conclusion is arrived at after 4 years of investigation, it does not speak well of the methods or motivations of the Delhi police. In October 2017, the law officer made a statement in the Delhi High Court that they have not found anything against anyone. Now in 6 months, they say that I have abetted a suicide. Unbelievable.
Where is the charge coming from? This is coming from Ashoka Road headquarters of BJP, which has now shifted. This is coming from the factory of lies of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, who is threatening Congress leaders that he will seek revenge against them. We completely reject the charge against Shri Shashi Tharoor. They have hounded him. They have persecuted him. They have maligned him. They have carried on a media trial against him.
All right, so is this a media trial? Is this Shashi Tharoor, some political process being targeted at him? Or is this really the beginning of justice for Sunanda? Joining us to debate this, KTS Tulsi, the senior advocate of the Supreme Court, Maxwell Pereira, the former Joint Commissioner of Delhi Police, Vaibhav Aggarwal of the BJP, Pawan Khera of the Congress, and the senior editor Nalini Singh. Nalini, let me come to you first. You were speaking to Sunanda in the days prior to her dying. Were you ever under the impression that she was tortured or physically assaulted by Shashi Tharoor?
No, not at all. In fact, she spoke to me that night. It turns out that just, an unknown number of hours before she died. And the call was at about a little past midnight, and it was about 8 or 10 minute call. So, not in the least. I didn't get the impression of physical torture ever. She never spoke to me about that. I can only speak of that night, Vishnu. I mean, there were many occasions. In fact, let me say that they had an argument, and she had spoken to me about that. And then 2 months later, there was another event, and I saw her there. And I leaned across like that because Farooq Abdullah and by chance Abhishek Bachchan was sitting there. So I just kind of said as friends do between us, that all okay. And she said to me, yes, all okay. He's, it's all right. So what I'm saying to you is that they went through their ups and downs, but I didn't get the impression
The reason I asked this question is because one of the points which has been raised in the charge sheet is the injuries which they detected on her body.
Yes.
And they believe there is evidence, that is evidence to suggest that there was physical assault of some sort.
I understand, Vishnu. There were contusions, there were welts on her body, 12 or 14. And
well, what you're saying is on the basis of what you have...
No, let me just tell you about that very night when the welts would have, she would have received those. So she spoke to me between 8 past 12 and 16. This is what the police force says to me. Now, basic thing is that at that time, she was very agitated, she was highly strung. As I have said earlier, that her speech was slurred sometimes and very clear at other times during that conversation. And she wasn't willing to be counseled or listened to by a friend. But at that time, there was just about a minute or so when somebody came and said something to her, and she said, Sahab. So I said, now somebody else is coming, so I'll put the phone down, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. And she said, no, it's just Shashi Tharoor, like that. She said, who's coming in? So what I'm saying is, she was already in this agitated state before the alleged big fight that took place through the night, is what we hear. So she was already in this highly strung, the membrane, I said to myself that the membrane between rationality and irrationality just now is very thin.
Right.
I was telling myself that she's not listening.
You did also speak to the police at a later stage, right?
Absolutely.
Did they ask you? Did they ask you whether, you suspected there was any violence involved It's an important question today in the context of what's happened in that court with this assertion being made by the police is why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Was this a line of questioning ever from the police?
Not at all. Not at all.
So this point never came up at all about whether she had been physically assaulted or at all. I mean,
you know, I had just been on a phone call, so maybe the police didn't think that I was the right person who could respond to this. But there was there was, and in fact, it was the ADM. You know, there was one Mr. Sharma or Mr. Mishra or somebody who'd been appointed,
right? And
it was him, and not at all. His line of questioning was not this at all. In fact, he had no questions.
Okay. Vaibhav, the point that's been raised by the Congress party today is that, in fact, by Mr. Tharoor himself, is that, you know, 7 months back there was somebody, a law officer, who told the court that, look, there is no evidence against Shashi Tharoor, and now all of a sudden, you know, he's been charged under section 306 and 498A, abetment to suicide and cruelty to his wife. How has this happened all of a sudden? I mean, for all of these years, it didn't progress down that route.
Well, as far as my information goes, that Congress's charge on politicizing the issue is preposterous. We, as a government, we've seen so many...
incidentally is the same word preposterous used by Shashi in his tweet. Anyhow, carry on.
I absolutely follow him for his English skills. I'm yet to learn a lot of dictionary words from him.
Preposterous is not a very difficult word, but anyway.
But I'm still struggling with it. I'm an Indian, so
Indians don't say preposterous anyway.
Yeah,
that's preposterous.
So the idea is that they shouldn't be, I feel, when you do psychoprofiling of such a leader, and we respect Shashi Tharoor for his skills and for his international work that he's done and so on and so forth. I do not agree that we should politicize the issue. It's a matter of investigation. The matter is sub judice, so I would not be able to comment on what the investigations are or in which direction are they going and so on and so forth. But one thing I definitely know, that if Delhi police is a very responsible force, I've had my word with the commissioner and the PRO in this matter. I know for sure that Delhi police is very responsibly handling this. They know it's a sensitive matter. It's about a sitting member of parliament, a senior leader of the Congress, and we shouldn't be able to politicize this issue.
Why do you say it's been politicized?
Did anyone find a suicide note on her? Was there a dying declaration? We have a situation where a senior bureaucrat, Director General of Corporate Affairs, Mr. B.K. Bansal, left a suicide note naming Shri Amit Shah. No action by Delhi police. Here there is no suicide note, no dying declaration, yet, and then you ask me, why do I accuse them of politicizing it? I am glad my colleague Vaibhav Aggarwal could speak to the Commissioner of Police on this. I don't know why the Commissioner of Police should speak to private citizens on these very sensitive cases.
Specifically in this matter.
No, you just told us. You just informed on national television that you spoke to the Commissioner of Police about an ongoing investigation. No, why? Why on earth would you speak to him? Why on earth would he speak to you?
Well,
sorry, but what's your locus standi?
That's a valid question.
What's your locus standi? This itself shows that all along we've been saying that the BJP is politicizing it, they're interfering in the ongoing investigation.
See, when I got a call from the channel, I need to understand if the charge sheet has been filed and whether I need to politicize it or not. Simple as it is. And since the matter has been...
that is advice given to you by the Delhi police.
Since the matter has been filed, are you saying on record, advise you to go and say this?
What did the Delhi police commissioner tell you?
That's a privileged information. I would not be able to say.
So it's not even in public domain. The fact that you call the Delhi police commissioner and the fact that he speaks to you raises huge questions, and I'm sorry, this should be taken note of by all the law enforcing agencies of this country.
Mr. Tulsi, would you like to come in over here, because this is actually quite unexpected. Vaibhav Aggarwal of the BJP suggesting that he's spoken to 2 police officers, one the Commissioner of Police himself and one person, the Public Relations Officer of the Delhi Police, who seem to have briefed them about a case, the charge sheet of which has been filed in a court, the contents of which are sub judice. Therefore, is there any validity in the argument that there is some sort of a political connection if the Delhi Police is speaking to a member of the BJP on this case?
Yes, of course. I think the law is very clear on this, section 174. The entire investigation is confidential. It cannot be revealed to anyone except the judge. And the case diary is not even given to the accused. It is only a matter of record of investigation which can be utilized by the judge and judge alone. for a police officer who's investigating the case to speak to anyone outside is dereliction of duty. I don't know how the police can even address press conferences about this, because the law is straight that this is confidential. It can be used only for the purpose of trial in a case and nothing else. So, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of whatever is available in the media, but all that I can say is that to me it appears that cruelty and abetment to suicide are contradictions in terms, and this kind of charge sheet will perhaps not meet with the approval of the court, even for the purpose of entertaining in the first threshold.
Mr. Maxwell Pereira, sir, one of the techniques which have been used by the police, and this has appeared in the media in the past, in fact there was a soundbite as well on this, was of psychological forensics. Psychological forensics and psychological forensic experts seem to reach the conclusion that Shashi Tharoor had participated in a sense in his wife's death. It's an abetment to suicide, and there was cruelty as well. How exactly does psychological forensics work?
Well, to the extent what my knowledge goes, I believe the delay was in all these tests, the physiological and the psychological tests that were conducted, and these were conducted by a constituted body, the approved constituted body for these kind of the experts named in the various fields, and those experts, on the basis of the opinion given by those experts, the Delhi police has deemed it fit to go to court and file the charge sheet as they have under section 306 and 498A. And apart from that, I don't think it is possible for me, or should be possible for anyone, to really talk about the merits of this case. That's because right. Unless we have really read the charge sheet to know exactly how the wording is, what exactly has been said there, I don't think we can really speculate on that.